duty before it was distributed to the public. And because of that, that man is going to Jahannam. So imagine that, brothers. Even the shaheed, if he's taken something from the public property illegitimately, he's going to go to Jahannam. The shaheed is supposed to be the one that passes without questioning on Day of Judgment. But even if he's stolen just a cloak from the public property, he will go to Jahannam. So brothers, these are the values of the Islamic political system. You have to care for the affairs of the people, not yourself. The level of the responsibility, and that public property you can't touch illegitimately, otherwise you will go to Jahannam. So brothers, these are our values, but the beautiful thing about Islam is that it doesn't just give you some values, it actually tells you how to make these values a reality, how to make them actually exist. So in Christianity, Christianity says be good to your neighbor, be honest, be kind, etc., etc. But it doesn't actually tell you how to conduct that, how to execute that. But in Islam, Islam gives you very, very fine details of how to make sure that these values are a reality. So what I'm going to do, inshallah, brothers, for the rest of the talk is I want to give some, very specific examples of the mechanisms that Islam has to preserve these Islamic values and make them a reality. First of all, if you want to enter politics in Islam, you don't get any salary. So the rulers in Islam, they don't get paid any salary whatsoever. So imagine somebody offered you a job and you ask, how much are you paying me? And he said, I'm not paying you anything. What would you do? Most of us would say, forget that. I'm not doing that. Why should I waste my time doing that? There's no money in it. Well, in Islamic politics, you don't earn any salary whatsoever if you go into these positions. So what does this create in the mind of the people? It creates in their mind that if I want to make money, the last place on earth I'm going to go to is apply for one of these positions. Because they don't even pay me a salary. If you wanted to make money in Islamic system, you'd have to go and trade, you'd have to go and be a soldier, you'd have to go and do something else. But ruling would have to be out of the question. And this is really well proven by the example of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr, when he was Khalif, one day the Sahaba found him in the marketplace trading. Yeah? And they asked him, what are you doing in the marketplace? You're supposed to be the ruler of the Muslims. You're supposed to be the Khalifa of the Muslims. You're supposed to be, concentrating on this job. And he said, I haven't got enough money to keep me going and to keep my family going. So I have to do this little bit of trading just to keep enough money for us to survive. So what they said is, they said, come on, don't be silly. Let's go to the Bayt al-Mal, the treasury, and let's give you a little bit of money so that you can concentrate fully on this job of ruling the Muslims. And he said, okay. So they went to the treasury, they took a bit of money, etc. A little while later, they found him in the trading place again, in the market. And they said, what are you doing in the market? You're supposed to be, concentrating on your job. And he said, that money that we took, it's not enough. I still have to make a bit more money to be able to survive. So they said, okay, let's go back to the treasury and we'll give you a bit more money to cover your expenses, etc. Anyway, so alhamdulillah, that money sufficed, yeah? And on his deathbed, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he instructed his daughter Aisha radiallahu anhu to take the one milking camel that he had and a few utensils and to give it back to the treasury, back to the public. Because he realized, this is not mine. This was just here to cover my expenses as I did the job. And he gave it back to the treasury. So an Islamic ruler, Islamic politician, there's no salary, all they get is bare minimum expenses. Another mechanism that Islam has is that it's got something called the Court of Unjust Acts. Yeah? Mahkamat al-Madhalim. This court, its only job, brothers, is to monitor the rulers and make sure that they're not skanking the people. Yeah? So they watch every single thing that they do. How do you spend the money? What law are you implementing here? How are you treating the people? They monitor everything. And if they see anything dodgy, they have got the power to investigate, and if so, they can remove anybody out of positions of ruling. On top of this, there's also a body called Majlis al-Ummah. This is an assembly of elected individuals that their sole job is to account the rulers and also advise them as well. So if they see anything dodgy going on as well, their job is to advise them and to account them. And on top of all of this, brothers, there's also something else, which is this culture that we will have in an Islamic system. The culture that we have in the Islamic system is that everybody should be enjoining the good and forbidding the evil. So it will be everybody's job, all of our jobs, to constantly be watching what the rulers are doing, and if we see anything dodgy about them, we have to go and account them. And this is something that happened a lot during the history of Islam. So brothers, what I want to do, inshallah, to end the talk, is to take us through some examples of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, and what he did when he was ruling the Muslims. And when I go through these examples, brothers, I want us to understand that all of these examples, they actually come from the Islamic values. They're not just styles that Umar ibn Khattab used just because he thought they were best. These are directly resulting from the Islamic values. So Umar ibn Khattab, I mean, we know that he was a harsh man. But what he used to do is he used to add a lot more conditions in the contract when he used to appoint a governor. There was already a lot of conditions, yeah? You have to be Muslim, you have to be just, you have to be sayin, etc., yeah? He used to add his own conditions. One of them was that if you're going to work for Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anh, you cannot ride anything but Arabian horses. So you can't ride Turkish horses, because Turkish horses, they were seen as luxurious. So in modern day times, if you want to work for Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anh, you can't drive a Merc and you can't drive a Beamer. Even if you can afford it, yeah? Even if you can afford it, you're not allowed to drive it. You have to drive a basic car. Also, he prohibited them from eating fine bread. You have to eat budget bread. That's what he said. If you want to work for me, you have to eat basic bread. Another thing is, he prohibited them from wearing exquisite clothing. You can't wear nice garments with bling and all of that stuff. You can't do that. You have to wear Primark quality clothes, yeah? Basic clothes. So that no one can look at you and think, you know, he's doing well or anything like that. You can't be showy at all. So to work with Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, you basically have to give up all the luxuries in life. And you have to live a basic life. And the reason why he instilled this in his governors is because he wanted them to live like the people. See, his philosophy was that if you're governing the people, you have to live with the people and you have to be like the people. But you can't be like the people if all you're going to do is enjoy the luxuries of life. Because you need to feel the pain they're going through and you need to feel the hardship that they're going through. So he put a lot of these conditions into their contracts. And another thing he used to do, and subhanAllah, if you look at this, you'd think, man, that is harsh, yeah? He would do an audit of your expenses. If he was going to appoint you, he would do an audit of your expenses. So he'd look at all of your wealth, and say, okay, he's got this amount of garms, he's got this camel, he's got this amount of money, this amount of jewelry, this house, etc. So he will do a whole audit on you, yeah? And then at the end of your appointment, certain years down the line, he will do it again. So he'll assess, you know, how many garms has he got? Has he got more camels? Has he got a bigger house, etc.? Has he got more wealth? If he suspected any unusual increase in your wealth, he would take up to half of your wealth away. He would just go up to you and say, give me half your wealth. And this is actually something that he did to some of the most prominent Sahaba. So Khalid ibn Walid, for example, he was somebody who was subjected to this, give me half your wealth. And on his deathbed, he was actually talking about this, yeah? And he said, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, when he took half my wealth, he even took one of my shoes and left the other shoe. Subhanallah. Subhanallah, yeah? Right down the middle. Right down the middle. Half your wealth, give it to me. And he did this to Abu Hurairah as well. On top of this, brothers, yeah, Not only would you go to the governors and take half their wealth,